Good morning, everyone who's joining the Wisconsin Center District September board meeting. We are running a couple of minutes late. Some of our board members are having trouble logging in, and our board chair is running about a couple of minutes late, stuck in traffic. So we're planning on starting at 8:45 and should be done by 9 the latest. But stay tuned, we will begin shortly. Thanks for your patience. Jim? No, that's okay. We're just going to wait for Grady to come in, and then we're going to open up the stream and we can start the meeting. Are you ready, sir? You get it. Go grab your coffee and any other projects you may have left in the car.
Yep, sounds good.
Mr. Chairman, we are ready to go when you are, sir.
Alderman Bauman, Mr. Grady Crosby,
Here.
Senator Darling, Mr. Mark Flaherty, Representative Caitlin Haywood, Senator LaTanya Johnson, Mr. James Cantor, Secretary Blumenthal, Mr. Scott Mansky, Mr. Greg Marcus, Mayor Dennis McBride, Alderman Jose Perez, Mr. Gerard Randall,
Here.
Representative Jesse Rodriguez, Ms. Aisha Sawa,
Here.
Mr. Omar Sheikh, Alderwoman Jocasta Zamaripa, and Alderman Perez. Did you let him in? Did you let in Alderman Perez?
Yes.
Alderman Perez,
joining now. Terrific.
Alderman Perez. Alderman Perez.
Yes.
Okay.
Good morning.
We have a quorum.
Great. I believe, and I don't have this in front of me, sorry, but I do believe that the first order of business is any discussion and approval of the meeting minutes from the previous board meeting. Any discussion?
Move adoption.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Great. What is the next item on the agenda? Sorry, trying to pull it up.
It's the financial report, Mr. Chairman, followed
All
by
right,
a review of
Mr.
the single audit.
Steve Marsh.
Okay.
Make sure you speak up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, everyone. Today's financial update is a bit brief. There have been no material changes to our 22 forecast projections that were presented at the August board meeting, and we continue to make progress developing the 23 budget. We'll be presenting to you a revised forecast as well as a proposed 23 budget at the October 21st board meeting, and we'll be seeking your vote of approval. As it pertains to the expansion project, since the board voted to approve the district's plan to address the $36 million budget gap, management has worked to put that plan into practice. The contract extension amendment with Levy has been executed, and we've received into our accounts the bonus and grant monies. As for the bond issuance, the debt was priced yesterday, and we should be closing on that transaction before end of month. The rates and yield came in approximately where we expected it to, and the overall cost did not materially differ from our projections in August. A more formal update on the project and budget will be forthcoming in October. Mr. Chairman, that's a financial update. I'd be happy to jump right into the next agenda item regarding the single audit, unless there's any questions.
So one question.
Yes, Guy.
So what rates did you end up with?
For the debt,
Yeah.
the coupon rate was 5% on the. Hang on just a minute here, Scott. 5% on the short-term debt and 5.25 on the long-term.
Was there any discount or premium?
A modest premium on the short and a discount on the long.
Okay. Okay. And how did that debt end up being issued? Was that all through, was it basically sold in the market or to one seller or one buyer?
No, it went to multiple buyers, specifically qualified institutional buyers, Scott, so it wasn't open to everybody in the market. They had to meet that requirement first. Morgan Stanley served as the underwriter, as did Siebert & Williams, and they marketed that for us. And we would expect to close, I think the date is September 29th.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
Steve, yeah, are there any other questions for Steve? All right, Steve, could go to the next item. I believe that's the main item for today is the single audit.
Yes, that's exactly the primary purpose of today's meeting. The single audit report was prepared by Baker Tilly, and this pertains to the district's receipt of federal grant funds in 2021. At the conclusion of this discussion, management will ask the board to vote on adopting this report. The board's adoption is required before Baker Tilly can submit their findings to the Federal Audit Clearinghouse in advance of the September 30th deadline. And so the full board is aware. Management reviewed this report with the Finance Committee at last week's Finance Committee meeting, and the committee voted affirmatively to recommend full adoption by the board today of this report. So why did we have to do this? Well, the audit is a requirement of the federal government when grant monies are distributed to certain entities. The purpose of the audit itself is to provide assurance to the government that a non-federal entity like the district is generally in compliance with the grant program requirements. And the headline here today, and this is noted on the second paragraph of page 9 of your board packet, is that Baker Tilly has confirmed that the district has complied in all material respects with the compliance requirements of the federal program from which we receive grant funds. This is the conclusion the district sought to receive from this audit process. The federal program from which the district received funds was the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant Program, and that was administered through the Small Business Administration. The district received just north of $983,000. The threshold limit on federal grant funds an organization can receive before a single audit is required is $750,000, which we well exceeded. The district used these grant funds to reimburse itself for eligible expenses incurred in 2020 and 2021 related to the district's theater business, specifically wages and benefits, utility costs, and other expenses such as building repairs and supplies. Part of Baker Tilly's report includes the audit letter, which is pages 7 and 8 of the board packet, that accompanied the district's financial statement audit this past May. The findings of that audit, which the board adopted on May 20th, must also be included in this reporting package that Baker Tilly ultimately submits, which is why we see them restated here. One item that might stick out to you as part of the May audit letter is the material weakness finding identified by Baker Tilly as it pertains to the district's reliance on Baker Tilly to prepare its financial statements. This finding, as we've explained to the board in the past, is reported in our annual audit every year. And in fact, it's quite common for smaller government agencies and nonprofit organizations to have such a finding in their statements. Neither management nor Baker Tilly is concerned about this finding as it pertains to the submittal of the final reporting package to the Federal Audit Clearinghouse. As to other elements of this report, page 12 of the packet is a very basic summary schedule of grant funds received. This schedule has a bit more value to an organization that receives multiple grants in a year, as it summarizes salient attributes of those grants received. As it pertains to the district, our sole grant is summarized here. Page 13 includes some basic footnotes that Baker Tilly has authored that comment on the presentation of the numbers, as well as the district's accounting policies that support these numbers. Again, nothing out of the ordinary here. And pages 14 and 15 represent a checklist of sorts that Baker Tilly is required to populate that pretty much summarize the findings as noted in the auditor letters on pages 7 through 11 as previously referenced. As I stated before, this audit was required as a condition of receiving grant funds from the federal government, and the district did achieve the result it wanted and needed to continue the grant closeout process. Mr. Chairman, happy to answer any questions, and if there are none, management would ask the board to vote on accepting the results of the audit and formally adopting this report.
Are there any, yes, Scott?
So the single audit is different from the financial audit in that it is specific to grants that you receive?
That's correct, Scott, yes.
So you've already received the financial audit report, and that was received back in May?
Yes, the board voted to adopt the results of that audit on May 20th, and then elements of that audit are incorporated into the single audit report that will then be submitted by September 30th to the Federal Audit Clearinghouse.
Okay. And the single audit, as you indicated, was required because you had received over $750,000 of grant funds?
That's correct. And the fact that we're a non-federal entity.
Okay. And have you had any single audit reports in other years?
Not in mine and Marty's tenure. To my knowledge, this is the first such report that the district has had to file.
Okay. And as indicated, you said that it was more or less a clean opinion and you met the requirements of it and you will be filing it with the federal government?
That's correct, Scott, yes.
Okay. Based on that, Mr. Chair, I would move approval of the item.
I will second.
All right, thank you. All in favor of adoption and approval of the single audit, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. We have adopted and approved the single audit, Steve. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I do believe we have, that was the main thing. I think the next board meeting that we have is the 21st of October. Is that correct, Michael?
Yes.
All right. And
Mr. Chairman, the only thing I'd like to add about that, just
yes,
especially for board members who are new to our cycle, at next month's board meeting, we will be presenting the FY23 budget, which is our fiscal year is January through December. It is a meeting that we really need a quorum for so that we can get it passed. And if not, then we would have to delay a vote until November. But I just make that, bring you aware of that date because it's an important date as far as items that we have on our agenda. That meeting usually is a bit lengthier, not ridiculously lengthier, but it's usually a bit lengthier because of the level of detail we look to provide the full board. We will be meeting with both committees the week prior and hopefully being able to share with them the board and get their, especially the Finance and Personnel Committee's endorsement of said budget that will give the full board hopefully peace of mind and comfort that it's we're addressing all of the things the Finance Committee would have issue with. Other than the budget review, I had addressed last month that at this board meeting we were going to have Leslie Johnson from Visit Milwaukee and Megan Setman, our Vice President of Sales, give an update on the state of meeting and convention business because we saw this being the September board meeting being very limited to this one audit issue. They will be presenting next month, probably a 5 to 10 minute presentation at most, but still think that's very important for the full board to get an understanding of what the meeting and convention business is looking like over the next 3 to 5 years. That's it for me,
Great.
Mr. Chairman.
So one question, any updates, Marty, on progress on the expansion that you want to highlight at all?
Not at this point. The milestone for the project was yesterday. We've been very focused in working with Morgan Stanley and Baird to price the bonds and get them issued. We have been meeting with the Icon Group since our last board meeting, going over the budget for the project, and now with this incremental monies that we've identified and gotten approved by the board, how that will be utilized. And in the October board meeting, we'll give the full board an update on where we stand with the project and share with you the successes and components being able to get included into the project now without any concerns.
Great. Any other questions for Marty or Steve or anyone else?
Yeah, the only thing I was gonna say is that if, I appreciate that we'll get an update on the project and both from a financial side and if it can also be a percentage of completion.
Sure.
And then also status of any TBE, DBE type issues.
Sure.
Thank you.
We had planned on having that to you anyway, and the percentage of completion, we'll address it in two buckets, Scott. One is percentage of completion as far as dollars committed and percentage of actual project completion on site, physical completion.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Scott. Any other questions? All right, with that, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do we have a second? Great. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, great. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Yep.
Thank you.
Was there something?
Thank you.
Oh, just waving goodbye.
Oh, all right. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
15 minutes.